What's up, and welcome to episode of the Grindline Podcast. You're listening to episode 193. I am here tonight with Ryan and Tyler in the midst of preseason chaos. How are you guys doing tonight?
Chaos is one way of putting it right there. It's, I don't know. I mean, it's exciting. Well, first off, I'll say I'm happy because hockey is back. We're seeing Red Wings hockey. It's more than just prospects, which don't get me wrong, we were freaking excited for that. But now we're seeing Larkin, Raymond. We finally got to see Bertuzzi. We're seeing more Edvinson. We're seeing the guys that we've been wanting to see, to include Sider. It's fun, but it's also confusing because we don't know what the hell's going to happen within the next week.
No, we opened up that huge can of worms today on Twitter.
Dude, I hate you so much for that because I retweeted it and then that led to me getting comments and
Tyler, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm coming to Detroit in a week from 2 days from now. So a week from Thursday, I should say. I know you guys gave me shit for that last year.
What was it? 1 week and 2 days or 1 week? What was the count?
I think it was 1 week and 2 days.
It's like a week. No, it was like a week plus 4 days.
I think that's what I said. But anyways, yeah, I'm excited to get together with you guys and all the fans and take in the opener and the other things that I'm doing while I'm in Michigan. But especially to see everyone and have some beers, especially because I didn't think I was coming. I think I announced on Twitter that I wasn't coming. And let's just say my dad's a good person, and we're all going to be there. So we're looking forward to it.
Premature announcements, Tyler. You do not announce things before you are 100% certain that they are happening.
I was about
or not
99 that's Ryan. I was about 99% sure that I wasn't going to be able to make it. Got out of a previous commitment and I'm good to go. So really looking forward to it and so happy that hockey's back.
Me too, because it gives us interesting stuff to talk about on the podcast instead of
interesting is one way of putting it at this point.
Instead of being extremely bored and just wallowing in misery because there's nothing going on, we now have stuff to talk about. So off the top, I mean, we're going to get into preseason. We're going to get into some stats. We're going to get into some roster projections. But off the top, Mat Barzal today signed an 8-year deal with the Islanders, God bless his soul, at $9.15 million, which was actually the contract that I had projected Larkin getting, an 8 by 9.15. So it could be pretty close there. I might be on the nose if he signs about the same. Now Barzal is a little younger. And I mean, I was a little maybe surprised by it. Barzal had a down season last season. He does have a track record of success, good stat line every previous season before last season. And maybe last season was a fluke and he'll turn it around. But yeah, 8-year extension at $9.15 million AAV, which joins the long list of centers who have recently signed long extensions. And I mean, it just makes you, again, and we talked about it a few episodes ago, hopeful for the Dylan Larkin extension. And coming in, again, it's looking that it's going to come in, if not slightly a hair below $9 million, in maybe that more 9 to 9.5 range.
Yeah, this is a huge deal because he's 25. When does he actually turn 26?
May 26, 1997 is his date.
So he won't be 26 until next spring, whereas Larkin just turned 26 at the end of July. So Larkin's got a year on him. I mean, I think our expectation is similar in 8 years, which for some reason just pisses people off. Like, why would that be a bad thing? 26, 8 years takes you to their 33, 34 year. Like, that's not a bad thing, especially for a guy that, I mean, you can argue the injuries that he's had, but they've also just not pushed him through because they haven't been good. And there's no playoff push in the sort, but you bring in a guy, he's your captain for one. He's a center, which is one of the most important positions in hockey at this point. Now, locking up a goal scoring winger and playmaker like Barzal is a no brainer. I think we had bullshitted and talked about the Wings giving him an offer sheet at one point, just because I think we wanted to offer sheet every single person that was good at this stage in time. But it was a no-brainer contract to me, especially if you're the Islanders, because that gives your team some hope and your fan base some hope. doing that with Larkin, I mean, I'm getting skeptical at this point that something happens within the next week, meaning before the season starts.
Yeah, I am too. Larkin had said, well, got to get something done before the end of the season, which is true. He does, because he will not have a contract if that happens. He says he wants to keep playing hockey and he only wants to play for Detroit. Now, the thing that is going to help Larkin besides this is Elliot Friedman had reported approximate projections for the salary cap in the next few years. He had said by 2025-26, those projections had the cap around 92 million, up nearly 10 million from where it is currently, at an increase of more than 11% in 3 off seasons. Now I'm reading from Max Bultman. Max is great. He saw the Barzal extension and then just whipped up this really, really good article. Now, he covers the whole timeline of centers that have signed. In July, Robert Thomas in St. Louis and Josh Norris in Ottawa signed 8-year deals with an AAV of 8.125 and 7.95. In August, Tage Thompson from Buffalo had 68 points last season after a previous career high of 14. He signed a 7-year deal at $7.14 million. In September, JT Miller, who will be 30 before his contract actually kicks in, $8 million AAV for 8 years. Tim Stützle signed an 8-year extension worth $8.35 million. Nathan McKinnon, we all know he signed his 8-year for $12.6, and then Barzal coming at the 8-year $9.15. Now, that projected cap number is only going to help Larkin's case, because he also goes into the percentages of the cap that the player is going to take up, and it's normally 10 to 11% of their cap hit, those big paid players. And right now that Barzal cap hit is 11.09% of the cap hit, but when it goes up, it'll drop. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens with Larkin now, because it seems like the longer he holds out, and not like that's a bad thing, but the longer he waits, the more stuff seems to fall in his favor for him getting that higher number. And now I think that you look at these and you look at his production. Max also put up some stuff on basically career points per game, career goals per game, and then platform points and goals. And right now, Larkin seems to have the highest. He compared him to Mat Barzal, Mika Zibanejad, Evgeny Kuznetsov, Logan Couture. Those are his 4 comparables. And Larkin ties with Couture on platform goals per game. The only person that beats him in time on ice is Mika. And it just seems platform points per game too, 0.97 points per game in this past, I believe this is tracking past season. And you're looking at it and you think, hey, if he keeps up at this pace, especially with the development of Lucas Raymond, the return of hopefully Bertuzzi for a complete season, the development of Mo Seider, bringing in someone like Simon Edvinsson, solidifying scoring roles on the power play, Larkin's should hypothetically, if stats trend the right direction, should keep increasing what he has done. And I mean, I could see Larkin in just hitting his prime, maybe being a 90-point player, 90-plus point player, depending on how his line mates play. And we know he makes them better. So everything that is happening before Larkin signing his contract, the longer he waits, the more that the stuff happens that seems to help him.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on it are, I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt Dylan Larkin that Mat Barzal just got 9.15 per year for 8 years. I don't know that Larkin is close to the McKinnon cap hit, but I think he's way closer to the Barzal cap hit than he is the McKinnon cap hit, I guess is what I meant to say. I mean, in terms of value, I mean, Mat Barzal is a pretty damn good player, especially if you watch the eye test. He's a fantastic skater. He's got some really good hands. A lot of people think that who's their coach now?
Lambert.
Lane Lambert.
Lane Lambert.
Yeah, Lane Lambert. I mean, a lot of people say that Lane Lambert's going to unlock some offense from Mat Barzal. Not that he's not a good offensive player already, but with Barry Trotz there previously, I mean, there was certainly defensive reins put on him, where he wasn't able to do what he usually does and kind of freewheel. I mean, for a guy of his skill set to only have had 22 goals in his career, as a high, and that was back in 17-18, that's years ago now. It seems to have gotten worse each year. Although his points have gone down too. So I understand where people are coming from saying that, maybe Mat Barzal's a little overpaid, but if you watch the eye test, he's a fantastic player and, he's worth the money. Now, I think in this case, it's not really paying Mat Barzal for what he's done. It's paying him for what he's going to do or projected what he's going to do. If the cap goes up, like Elliot Friedman says, then, this is going to be a very good value contract because, 9.15 is not going to be a crazy astronomical amount once it's all said and done. In terms of what it means for Dylan Larkin, the more that this continues to go on, I'm not concerned that he's going to test free agency. I just think that the more that this goes on and the more that they continue to let this linger, the more it's going to affect the room as a whole. I think the captain doesn't have a contract. I don't care what people say or what they're saying in that locker room or what Steve Yzerman is saying. There's a distraction there because every night there's going to be a question. Do you want to be here? Where's the contract? Like, unless he puts an end to it, like at the end of training camp or like before the first game where someone asks him, hey, what are your thoughts on the contract? I'm not talking about it. That's the only way that he can put this whole thing to bed or, obviously signing the damn contract. But I don't know where this has gone because during the summer, we were led to believe that this was almost a done deal, even with the new agent. So where has this gone off the rails? I don't know. And most importantly to me, it's like, where is this going? Because you can't get to free agency next year and not have him sign. Because if you do, what do you do?
Well, if you get to that point, we're slowly getting into Stamkos territory. Now, I know we made that, I don't want to say comparison, but we were looking at what Stamkos signed for, which I think he was at 11.5%, something like that when he signed, which I think
he was in that 11 range.
And that gave us a rough number of, I think, $9.5 million, if that was what Larkin were to sign for. Now, I know we all said, I think, between 9 and 9.5, which at this point seems to be the most realistic. But we're also not even talking about Tyler Bertuzzi, who's in the exact same boat. And my good friend Mario, ever the optimist or realist, if you will, made the clear point that, hey, if both these guys don't have contracts come season starts, that makes this trade deadline, barring how this team does, very interesting and something to keep an eye on. Now, I'm not saying that Larkin's going to get traded. I'm not saying Bert's going to get traded. But it's a lot easier to ditch a guy with a contract that's expiring that you can eat up on for half of that contract and get him over to a playoff team if Detroit's not in that position to keep pushing for a wild card of sort.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you need to, when you talk about where the Wings are right now in terms of the rebuild and in terms of the buzz on the team, there hasn't been more buzz for a Red Wings season in a long time. And how do you squash that? By letting two distractions really like this enter your room. And I don't care what anyone says about, it not being a distraction. It's a distraction in itself.
How? But how?
Because it just is. Two of your best players don't have contracts going
because
forward.
it's not a good answer.
Contracts though. They're under contract for the season. The only time it's going to become a distraction is if they have nothing come the end of the year and they're going to the offseason. They're still playing for this team under the current contract. It's unless people are bringing it up, and we've already seen it in the press conferences, and we kind of talked about this a little bit with Daniela. Like they're not pushing it, meaning Red Wings writers aren't. You would think that more conversations with Larkin, they'd be like, "How's the contract coming?" or "What's going on with the contract?" No, those questions aren't coming up, and I think a part of it plays into. So it's not a distraction. Now, depending on how the team does, maybe those questions do come up, or maybe a national writer starts getting into it and
That's
starts
what I'm saying.
Poking around.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think it's going to be the way that you are trying to play it out as. I am not going waving the white flag and, oh shit, this is going to be bad, because based on everything that I've seen with Larkin, and again, this is me, It's not going to be a distraction. He's going to play it off the right way. He's done it professionally to this point, and every time it has been mentioned to him, he's like, a deal's going to get done. I don't want to go anywhere. I love this team. I love this city. I love these fans.
So I guess my question is, what's taking so long? Where is this going off the rails?
I don't think it's going off the rails. I think it's just him waiting to see what happens. And a lot of it is he knows there are big names out there that are unsigned. You've still got Jason Robertson unsigned. You've got, and again, Barzal was not signed, coming up on an expiring contract.
Dylan Larkin and Jason Robertson. Robertson's coming off his rookie year last year.
But you're still looking for dollar values to compare things to. And Barzal, I think, is a great example of a dollar value to compare something to.
I guess even if you were to give him like 9.7, and that's on the high, of course, right?
Yeah.
If you were to give him 9.7, that still, with the cap going up, is still a good manageable contract going forward.
Sure.
Not next year, though.
No.
You still got to get through next season, too, in terms of a cap hit. I mean, now, will Detroit have room? Yeah, they're going to be one of those few teams that does. So then 2 years from now, when that cap has an extra jump of a couple million, when they're looking to maybe signing long-term Raymond and Sider, that's where this becomes more of a thing. So doing this now, before you get to that point, I think is more critical, because if Larkin has the year that we've all been thinking he could have, that price is going up and you're pushing toward 10 million, and that's going to hurt you.
I think that's part of what he is banking on is he's partially banking on himself. Now, if Yzerman comes in and says, okay, your number's 9.5, we'll give you 9.4, and you take it, then you're done. But I think what's probably happening is he's coming in and saying, I want 9.5. And Yzerman saying, I'll give you 8.75, and Larkin is just waiting for more stuff to roll. And so I'm not super worried about it. Looking at the JFresh player cards, just to compare him to Mat Barzal, Dylan Larkin has a projected WAR. This is a 3-year weighted average of 86%. A 94 EV offense, a 62 EV defense, a 67 on the power play, 71 finishing. If you look at Mat Barzal has a projected WAR over the past 3 seasons of 70%, a 91 EV offense, and an 11 EV defense. So what people don't put into account when they look at Larkin is they're mainly just looking at his points. They don't look at his two-way play. They don't look at his defensive numbers. And even so, I mean, the offensive numbers have been better than Barzal's over the past 3 seasons. Now, it's a 3-year weighted average, but Dylan Larkin comes in with an EV offense of 94, where Barzal comes in with an EV offense of 91. So it's not a huge difference, but it's better. But Larkin is markedly better at defensively. He's a really, really good two-way center. And back to your point, Ryan, of maybe this makes a trade deadline easier. Larkin wouldn't get traded. You have no center to replace him with.
No, but that's to Tyler's point, maybe that's where the distraction could hit like full bore, because you approach that trade deadline, you've got Larkin and Bertuzzi potentially without contracts.
I don't think it would be distracting to the room. I think you would hit panic mode with the fan base at that point. Yes, I would agree. But we also learned this past season that with the state of the roster and where things are at, it was affecting those guys in the room, because they're now waiting to see. I think it was it Stahl they had talked to, that you knew that something was likely going to happen. It was just a matter of when, not if. That ups the ante a little bit. Now, again, I'm not saying at all that Yzerman is going to trade Larkin and or Bertuzzi. I'm far from it. Is it a possibility? Yes, because we've talked about it before. We need to look at Yzerman's track record. He is going to do what it takes to make his teams better. And if that involves trading someone that's important, then that's how it goes. Canada's open for business, baby.
Yeah, I think one thing that people aren't taking into consideration and that, is important too. Dylan Larkin's a team guy. Dylan Larkin is the captain of the team. The deal, I would say, is going to get done 95%. I mean, there's a 5%
When do you think
chance.
it's done?
When? I mean, this Barzal one came out of nowhere, so it could come tomorrow for all we know, really. I mean, it's not like there was any, but I mean, I guess Did you guys see any alerts from Elliot Friedman saying that it's getting close or anything?
No,
it just kind of came.
Lou, I think, is very much like Yzerman, where if it gets out, you are probably going to get murdered and chopped up in pieces and put somewhere.
You won't just have to shave your beard; you'll have to shave your head.
And there's 2 preseason games left, right?
We're 6 through?
Yeah. Well, there's Caps tomorrow, Leafs on Friday and Saturday, and then the home openers next Friday. So, I mean,
3 more games. They're at 5 of 8.
There's a chance that before opening night, there's a chance. I mean, because you have Saturday, right? That's the last preseason game, which Larkin probably will play in because it's the last one. But then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 days to really maybe hammer that home without, it being a huge to do. Is that like your last effort if you're Steve Yzerman? Or is this something that's going to be talked about during the year? A lot of guys don't like talking during the year.
No, talking during the year is, I think, a distraction to the player themselves. So I think if it does not get done by opening night, then it's going to slide until maybe the break, until you have a break around Christmas or you've got the All-Star break or whatever. That's probably where it will slide to. If it gets done mid-season, it's going to be around then. But it's not going to be, if it doesn't get done in that time period, you're going to be waiting until next offseason, because the last thing I'm doing is distracting Dylan Larkin with contract negotiations in the middle of a season.
I mean, I think that it's going to be a situation where it's just going to come when it comes. It feels like it could come at any point now.
That's what she said.
I just feel like it's one of those situations where it's going to come when it comes, and it's going to come when you least expect it.
Again,
it's going to happen when you least expect it.
The phrasing,
your goddamn mind.
The phrasing is so incredible right now.
But I think that's going to wrap up the Dylan Larkin conversation. And before we get into the rest of tonight, I think we're just going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors before we get into kind of like the long haul of the conversation. So we'll be back in just 1 minute. The wait is almost over. A new football season is about to begin. Get ready for the NFL Week 1 action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. Want more action for opening night? Everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. Get up 7, you win. Bet on any NFL team of your choice, and if your team leads by 7 points at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And we're back. And a quick note before we move on to the next thing that Ryan brought up during our commercial break was that Dylan Larkin is represented by the same people that represent Nathan McKinnon, who just got an absolute monster deal. So there's also that to take into account. But we want to move on to preseason, how it has gone so far, kind of our standouts before we move into roster projections going into opening night. It's becoming a little more clear this last game.
I don't want to project.
I do. This last game against Pittsburgh was kind of the closest to what could be considered an opening night roster that we've seen, minus a few people. Elmer Soderblom was out with soreness. He should be back tomorrow, which is Wednesday.
Yeah, he was already back in morning skate doing line rushes. So
yeah, Lalone said he probably could have played, but they kept him out as a precaution, just because he's a little hurt, which for a man that large to have an ouchie is a little concerning. But he seems to be good to go. And I kind of want to get into just some preseason stats so far, some of our standouts, who we've really liked lately. And I kind of want to start with Dominique Kubalik, who to me, I think he's going to make Chicago rue the day they did not give him an offer. In 4 games played so far, he has 3 goals, 3 points. He's a +2. Averaging 17 minutes of ice time. He's got 4 penalty minutes, but he's
got a goal in each type of situation: power play, shorthanded, and even.
Yeah, his shots on goal percentage right now is 42.9, which literally blows away every other player so far.
It's totally going to translate over, right?
Yeah, no, not at all. He's been taking faceoffs. His faceoff percentage is also the highest at a 66.7.
Okay, is he taking faceoffs, or is that just a good percentage because he got pulled in for a draw?
He has taken faceoffs.
Yeah, okay.
And to have a percentage of 66.7, you have to have taken more than one faceoff. Otherwise, you'd be at 0 or 100. So he's taken at least a few faceoffs. And I mean, Dominique Kubalik for me, and there are some people putting him on the second line, which could work. And he's got a hell of a shot. It is hard. And I was listening to Art Regner's last Red and White Authority with Sebastian Kosa, and he had asked Kosa, who are some of the hardest shots you've faced? And he was talking about preseason, and Art brought up Dominique Kubalik. He's like, yeah, Dominique Kubalik has a hell of a shot.
Oh, you can tell. That thing is flying, and it's so fast.
It's accurate.
Well, meaning, what I mean by fast, I mean, we know it's a hard shot. That's what we were just talking about. He gets that puck off.
His release.
Like that. It's so quick. There's been multiple situations. I mean, he's one of those guys where you hear them talk about getting a shot off in tight with very little room and making stuff happen in tight, or the usual saying. That is him to a T.
You know who could learn a lot from Dominic Kubalik? Philip Zadina.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're countrymen too, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yeah,
right,
I was just gonna say he has like the build and like the shot of a guy that could score 30 goals. Easy.
He has.
Yeah. And I'm saying again, I know he has with Chicago, but he's a good player. And you can just tell he's a guy that can score goals for sure.
He'll get power play time for sure. He's like now, what I'm going to consider him is, without the track record, I mean, the ones his rookie season got Calder votes, got 30 goals. I mean, right now for me, he can be a Verona light. And that's dangerous. Because that's a guy who can come in. He's going to get power play time probably on the second unit. And if he just keeps netting goals, I mean, 4 games, 3 goals. And granted, it's preseason. But what goalies have we seen in preseason?
Some of the starters across the league.
We've seen both of the Pens goalies. We've seen their starter and their backup in Jari and DeSmith. Mm-hmm.
Smith was lights out last night, by the way.
He's the only reason the Pens won that game. Arvid Soderblom, holy shit, like played awesome for the Hawks. And that's Elmer's brother. He played awesome. But Kubalik is scoring goals. And that's what he's brought in to do. Yep. And if you put him on a third line, even if you put him on a third line, say, and right now for me, Michael Rasmussen's the center of the third line. And if your third line is Kubalik, Rasmussen, and Zadina, I mean, that could be another, again, a fire line.
Isn't that a lot different than what we've seen in the last like 4 years, 5 years?
Well, that's what we talked about. The problem now is we have too much depth. Our problem before was not enough depth, and now the problem is, how the hell am I going to make a roster, because there are just so many guys that have been good in preseason, and it's going to be really hard for them to pick. But another guy who's been really good in preseason, again, Philip Zadina, who he said could learn from Kubalik, but in 3 games played, he's got 3 points, a goal, and 2 assists. So he's playing a point per game, averaging 17 minutes and 35 seconds of ice time. His shooting percentage right now is only at a 12.5, which means he's shooting the puck, and he should be shooting the puck. And it seems like, and we had talked about it, a renewed and refreshed Philip Zadina, who is just told to go out there, play your game, shoot the fucking puck whenever it's on your stick, in more than one spot. You've got it on the wall, shoot it in. You've got it in tight, shoot it in. Make a breakaway, shoot it in. And that's what's happening, is he's getting shots on goal, and he's being rewarded, and he's had some really good setups too. He's been a dog on the puck. He's board battling, he's getting the corners, and the more important thing is he's winning those battles. He's not giving up.
And what's, I think, important about that too, and everything that you just mentioned for Zadina, is we saw that at training camp. We saw that leading up to the red and white game in the individual battles, or drills, I should say. And I know that many were maybe overly excited that, hey, this is the new Philip Zadina we were hoping for. But I was mildly optimistic and waiting to see if that would actually continue. And it has, and then some. And this is the Zadina, I think, that we started to see glimpses of last season. And Greg, to your point, and I know we've talked about it before, that maybe Lalone coming in and having this new system, it is going to be the spark that he needs. We've seen him on taking power play time, which is to no surprise. And that second unit right now could be very dangerous. First one kind of struggled last night, but I think the way that they can roll 2 power play units, you're not going to be hurt, unlike what we've talked about before, where I've kind of favored where you put your best players on your first power play and run them for 2 minutes. I don't think that they're going to be in that situation where they have to worry about that. And it's because of how we're seeing what we've seen so far, I should say, from Zadina and Kubalik. Those guys, and who was it? Someone jokingly asked if there's going to be a check line out there, or a check, the check 5 or Czechia 5 or something like that.
We could have a checking line.
Or no, I think they've got 5 checks out on the team now, don't they? Two
or more.
So they could have a full 5 out there that somebody, I think might have been Max that joked about that. But
you've got Kubalik, Vrana, Zadina, Hronek. And then there might be one, but that's, I think, off the top of my head, there's 4.
Swear there's a 5th.
No, that's it. There's only 4.
There's your 4.
Anyways, well, the way that we're seeing Zadina and Kubalik click at this stage, not only just playing, if they are playing together, but just in general, Zadina's playmaking with and without the puck is what's elevating his game. We already saw it, the elevation from defense last year and what he can do there, but that's now, I think, going to be a driving force, because we're seeing those changes with Lalone on the emphasis on defense and how we had talked about that coming in. And we're starting to see that come to fruition a little bit with what we're on the back end. Granted, again, new players, better players is helping that. And also, but they're moving the puck well, getting up to their forwards, and guys like Zadina and Kubalik are now getting themselves more room to make things happen. And that's where what we're seeing to this point. Granted, it hasn't been full NHL rosters across the board, but you take what you get at this point in the league, and they're doing that.
And that's one of the big things that Lalone had stressed too, is he was asked about people like Zadina. He was asked about people like Vrana. And they're like, well, what do you like about Vrana? But he doesn't only go into what he likes. He goes into what they need to work on. And one thing that he said about almost every player is, we know what they can do with the puck. They need to work on what they can do without the puck. And that's, again, to your credit, what you said about Zadina. He's working on his presence away from the puck, his defense away from the puck, his gap control, his spacing. That's what he's working on. And when he doesn't have the puck, Filip Zadina is one of the guys that's constantly trying to get the puck. And this is some of the stuff we noticed even the other day when we were talking in the Discord when the game was on, and they're saying, look at that penalty kill. Our penalty kill, we turned it into basically a power play. And again, thank you, Allison Lucan, for the power kill.
Kill, baby.
That is what the Red Wings are working on. You have to be aggressive. When you don't have the puck, you need to be aggressive. And that is the one thing that they're showing they can do. And it brings me to basically my standout so far of the entire preseason, which is Lucas Raymond, who has just, where did this come from? I mean, we knew Lucas Raymond was good. He put on weight. He's
gotten faster. He is obviously stronger.
Like, he is in the corner literally every time the puck goes to the corner. Lucas Raymond is there. He's stripping guys of pucks to set up a beautiful, a Verona goal. A beautiful Verona goal, set up a beautiful Dylan Larkin goal. And then he scored himself. He had himself a 3-point night. Lucas Raymond right now, 3 points in 3 games, averaging 18:34 of ice time. 8 shots on goal. And I mean, he is everywhere.
And that's been pretty much without Bertuzzi on the other wing along with Larkin.
And it's been crazy. And this is like, you thought Lucas Raymond was good last season. This is a different Lucas Raymond.
Yeah, this Lucas Raymond iteration just makes me really, really excited to see myself on the ice.
Lucas 2.0, the Tyler version.
Tyler's long lost twin.
But seriously, I mean, he's been fantastic in the preseason. And isn't the preseason of hockey better than the preseason of any other sport?
Oh, totally. I mean, there's complaints, I think, about it being too long, and they have thought about, I think, shrinking it up. Even Malone made the comment, but it is there's an intensity level. I mean, it's guys are trying to get on these teams. It's different than football.
Preseason baseball sucks.
Oh, it's spring training? No, it's terrible.
Until like the last week, spring training sucks. I agree.
Yeah, because you finally start seeing real pitchers coming in.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I mean, this iteration of Lucas Raymond is exciting to see because I don't think we've had a winger like this in a long time. I know like Dylan Larkin was obviously started as a winger, but we all knew that, you know, at one point or another, he was going to become a full-time center. And, you know, that is probably the last forward that we've been that excited for. And Lucas Raymond, man, I mean, the sky is the limit. We talked about this last year. A lot of people said, you know, there's some Datsuk in him. There really is some Datsuk in him. There really is. Offensively, maybe not so much defensively, but I think that's going to come too at some point. He is responsible enough defensively as a winger.
He almost had a Datsuk play. Did you guys see this the other night?
Was it the puck strip and then the straight pass? No, it was 100% Pavel Datsuk. You could line up.
It was the Datsuk play against Nashville, right? Where he came up behind the defender, lifted the stick and stole it, and then had an amazing deke for a goal. Raymond almost pulled that off to a T, but he almost dished it off for a beautiful assist.
Yeah, you could have lined it up directly next to that, and it would have been almost shot for shot identical.
First thing I thought, I wasn't tweeting it at the time, or I would have had it out there because it was beautiful.
Anytime you can see a guy or some Pavel Datsuk or like Henrik Zetterberg or Steve Yzerman or some former Red Wing legend in a young player, I mean, that's what you want, especially in a rebuild like this. You know, you had last year saying Mo Seider was ahead of where you had Nick Lidstrom say Mo Seider was ahead at his age where Lidstrom was at his age. So, like, I mean, there's a lot of old Red Wings in this team already, and I can't wait to see where this all goes.
Yeah, I had a point. I had it. I lost it. So go ahead, Greg.
So, I mean, even if we're going back to comparables, I mean, I've seen a little bit of Pavel Datsuk playmaking in someone like Jonathan Berggren.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean and stay Swede there. I'm gonna keep the comparison with Bergie to Zetterberg because that's the style of play I'm seeing from Berggren reminds me of a simpler version of Zetterberg.
I don't love the 52.
So are we gonna call him Jonathan Zetterberggren? Is that what we're gonna call him?
I like it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get some craziness with that one there.
Can we just talk about one thing?
No.
Berggren wearing the number 52 just scars me.
I mean, he had that before he came here. I get it. It was a number he had over in Sweden, right?
I don't care. The 48 looked good.
Yeah, I don't need a 52, but
I don't ever want to see a 52 again.
Well, maybe this will rid us of the
Eriksson curse.
Yeah, curse. There we go. That's a good word.
Maybe I'll do a back-to-back, Berggren on one side, Zetterberg on the other, and it'll just say Zetterberggren across the top. But Jonathan Berggren or Jonathan Berggren in
Jonathan is what can see. Here's where I love that these games are back broadcasted, so I can get proper pronunciations. Thanks, Lars.
Jonathan Berggren in 4 games played has 2 assists, averaging 12 minutes and 50 seconds of ice time, but he has looked great. And if there is a guy that is going to force his way onto this team that is not named Elmer Soderblom, because he has also looked very good, and we'll talk about him next, Berggren is a guy that I think, and I fight with this where to put him kind of thing. And for a lot of players, I say, well, 4th line is really a waste of his talent. And for Berggren, I almost think that's the thing. If you're just going to throw him on the 4th, put him on the 1st line in Grand Rapids and let him go until there's an injury on the 3rd line or whatever. Because he is so talented and his playmaking is so good that unless you have a really good scorer, unless you bump Dominique Kubalik down to the 4th line and you just run a monster 4th line with like Berggren, Veleno, Kubalik, which could probably score like
Weren't
nuts.
They together the other night?
Maybe.
If I remember right, Kubalik and Bergeron were definitely together, that would not be a bad line because there is speed. You've got all those guys can play a two-way game, not necessarily Kubalik, but he's got that size and he's been showing it. Bergeron and Velino are very defensively sound. We know that Velino is because that's just one of his mainstays.
Yeah.
That would not be bad, but you're giving up a lot of size by doing so.
But the only thing about like you talking about them going on the fourth line, like the stigma of the fourth line of the past, like putting a guy like Thomas Yurko to go back to, a weirder time, put a guy like him on the fourth line.
YouTube Yurko?
No, Gus Nyquist, right? Going back to that.
Like, a guy like him on the fourth line back in those days where, you had a bunch of plumbers on the fourth line, like that can stunt a player's growth. But if you're going to tell me Jonathan Bergeron can come, or Jonathan Bergeron, and
Tyler, we know you're not going to get it right, so just say how you want to say it.
If he can, come up and start on the fourth line for a couple games, get his feet wet, if that's like a starting point for him, and then he gets bumped up to the third line where somebody else gets bumped down, then I could see it. The other thing is, like I said, I was kind of talking about the stigma of the fourth line. It's changed significantly. So if you could have a guy like Veleno, a guy like Bergeron, and a guy like Kubalik on the fourth line, I mean, that's cooking with gas right there. That's like you have depth top to bottom there. And that's, assuming everybody stays healthy, but like, I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, I don't know. I think that putting Bergeron on this team, and I'm sure we'll go into that when we talk about the actual predictions of the lineup for opening night, which Ryan does not want to talk about.
I don't, because there's so many different ways it could go. I mean, yeah, I'll wait.
I think with Bergeron, the thing you're looking at is, and shout out to Lars. Lars had said that our fourth line now, and it's true, our fourth line with the way this team is looking is going to be a fourth line in name only, because you're going to be able to probably get the guys on the fourth line 9 minutes, 10, 13 minutes a game, 12 minutes a game.
I would say that fourth, if you have a fourth line like that with what we're discussing, you're looking at 11, 12 minutes easy.
And if you throw Bergeron on power play 2, because you should, then he's probably getting 13, 14 minutes per game at that point. So,
I mean, has he been out there on PK stuff?
I haven't paid much attention to the penalty kill. I've been
trying to watch that one, because that's where I'm stuck with bringing him in, because the other night last night, he was not on a power play unit. And I think that's going to be one of his key things to making this roster, is cracking a power play or special teams unit. And if he's not out there, like if he's in, say, for Ernie, then you're losing a guy on the PK potentially. Is Bergeron going to fit that role? I think he could, but is it likely? I don't know.
Now, like I said, in the 4 games he has played, he is averaging 12 minutes and 50 seconds of ice time, and that brings him down. I mean, that's kind of toward the bottom. Kirill Tutayev, who played 1 preseason game so far, averaged more time than him. So that kind of works against him a little bit. There's a couple more I want to touch before we move on to roster predictions. We're running out of time a little bit. But Elmer Soderblom, he has been, management has said they've wanted to see him in every situation. They wanted to see him on the top line. They've wanted to see him in top 6. He has taken every situation.
He's been on the PK.
He's taken every situation they've given him by the balls and just made it literally his own. And he's acting like a child throwing around stuffed animals, and people are trying to hit him and they're falling down. And he's another one. It's like the world's largest man with the world's softest hands. And
he's a yoink machine.
It's insane.
If there's a puck within like 20 feet, he just sticks his arm out there and his 20-foot stick just be like, yoink, I got it. You're not going to get there.
Yoink.
And the thing is like, that's just what he does. And people were kind of worried about how's his game going to translate to North American ice. Is he going to be able to keep up, because the NHL is a much harder hitting league than the SHL? And every opportunity that's been thrown at him, he has taken it and he has excelled. So I think if there's a surprise guy that's going to make this opening night lineup, and Oscar Sundqvist might not be back for the beginning of the season.
Yeah. He is skating though, isn't he?
I think he's skating. I don't remember if he's in a non-contact.
Yeah, but
or
you
not.
can be patient with him if you think a guy like Soderblom should make the team.
Sure. So I think if there's any guy who off the bat is going to get like his 9-game trial, it's going to be Elmer, because he has shown with every opportunity he's been given that it's just, he's been able to kill it. Like literally, not literally, because I'm just waiting for the moment where he just takes a dude's head off, but he's literally destroying every opportunity that's being given to him. And it's very exciting because he's, just this monster force out there. And let's see if I can find him on the list, but it's been, I don't want to say surprising, because I don't think it's surprising.
Refreshing? Is that a better word to use there?
No, I'd say exciting. It's exciting because it's a guy who was picked where he was doing the things he's doing in quote unquote NHL action. That is, to me, really, really exciting.
So Sundqvist was not skating today, but Soderblom was back on the ice and he was skating with Raz and Ernie. The Wings were rolling 5 lines today because they still have so many guys there just because they haven't made the roster cuts yet. But it's interesting because it was him, Raz, Ernie, and then another line was Smith, Suter, Bergeron. It's making things really freaking interesting. But sorry, Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, Bergeron, for what everyone said about him being slow-ish, because of his size, I think he's pretty, not fast, but he's quick enough for his size, I feel like. And if he's big enough and uses that size to his advantage, I don't think it's going to matter how quick he has to be. I guess if he's on the first line and going against the top D pairs and stuff like that, then obviously he's going to have some issues. But like, if he's on the fourth line or the third line and he's grinding down low, and he's going to be a force to be reckoning with. I'm not saying that because I like to hype up every single prospect, but I'm really, really, really excited for him. And I really do think that he's making a case for making the team. I think to your guys' point, you can make a case for both of them, but Soderblom is definitely one of those guys that you can tell, even though he's played in Sweden the last couple of years, he's taken to the North American ice pretty good, I feel like. And he takes up a lot of room. So as long as his stride is good, which I haven't seen any issues with so far, I don't see why that there isn't a reason that this guy can't at least be on the fourth line to start opening night.
He covers so much ground. And honestly, it goes back, like you said, it wouldn't be bad if he was on the fourth line. And again, to the comment that we go back to Lars, there won't be a true fourth line in this team. And that's not a bad thing, because there is going to be balance and depth, especially after you get past that top 3. Really, you could argue their top 6 is interchangeable. And if these guys are clicking, you've got a solid third scoring line with save Zadina, Velino, Kubalik that was skating together today. It don't matter what your fourth line is going to be, because there's going to be skill there. And that is what I think is going to be important for this team. And it's not going to be just skill offensively. They're going to be balanced defensively. And I think we've already seen that coming to a head with some of the changes that Lalone is making. And it's not only, again, because of just defense, but it's because what the forwards are helping the defense do to make it more effective.
Yep. So the last person I kind of want to get to is Sebastian Cossa, who has played 2 games, 24 minutes and 40 seconds of ice time with the goals against of 1.22 and a save percentage of 0.95. This is a completely different Sebastian Cossa than what we saw. We talked about him in the prospect tournament. He was really good. Than what we saw in the previous prospect tournament. He worked, like we had talked about, in Detroit with the goalie staff for the summer. He had spent some time with Alex Nedeljkovic on ice. And his reaction time is quick. His post-to-post is quick. His puck tracking has been excellent. The last game he was in, I believe I gave him my 2nd star because he faced 7. I think he only faced 7 or 8 shots, but they were all really, really high pressure shots when the game was kind of on the line. So Cossa, like I said, he's pushing, I think, his way into a discussion for an AHL job.
I was going to say, do you think he's forced his way enough into Grand Rapids? Because, I mean, they've really kept it balanced amongst the goalies that are still in Detroit.
I think he'll probably play one of the 2 Toronto games, and depending on his performance there, because you have to think Toronto by the last 2 preseason games are going to start some of their starters. You'll see Austin Matthews, you'll see Mitch Marner, you'll see William Nylander.
I know Matthews was out there last night, if I remember right.
Yeah, but you'll start seeing, I mean, you might see one of those two Toronto games. You should definitely see what Pittsburgh has been playing, which is basically their entire lineup.
At that point, I mean, there's a week until the season. I would say you'll see both.
So if Kosa gets one of those games, if he gets half of one of those games, that's your real test, because that is the best team in your division, basically, at that point. And if he blows that out, then you've really got to think, hey, maybe this kid can 1A, 1B in Grand Rapids, because UC Olkinora has been good. Victor Brattstrom's been good. I mean, Olkinora's gotten 2 games and has a 1.33. Olkinora's been better than Brattstrom. So Sebastian Kosa so far has faced...
Not by much, but it's been... I mean, I think Brattstrom's had one of the better showings so far in the preseason.
Brattstrom has faced more shots. So Brattstrom's faced 37, UC Olkinora's faced 17. Kosa's faced 20 shots. And again, like I said, it's a different Kosa. He seems more calm, more composed, not panicky, and he's tracking the puck really, really well. And he made some really tough saves against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's going. I think the biggest thing for Kosa, he's gone really well side to side, and he's done so by not overcommitting, meaning not going side to side and getting himself out of position, which I think was a bit of a knock on him before, is that he was overly aggressive. And he's been very good, to your point there, Greg, of being composed, I think is a simple way of putting it, and not getting caught in the moment of a situation that's happening to then set himself up for a quick backdoor pass for a goal, or leaving the net open, or leaving something exposed on himself in terms of positioning to allow for maybe an easy 5-hole. I know we've talked about a little bit that his glove hand has looked better in comparison to what we've seen before. It's like there's subtle things that he's seemingly worked on, as you mentioned, this summer being in Detroit, that has paid off for him in this preseason, that hopefully for all of us, and I think we can agree on that, hopefully that leads to him being on the west side of the state in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, I agree. I like his game a lot. I know I remember seeing him highlights and stuff like that. I agree with what you're saying, slow side to side, but it seems like he's worked on that. Seems like he's also not being as aggressive, like you said, but he's as big as he is. He doesn't have to be that aggressive because he takes up a lot of the net anyways.
He covers the whole net when he goes to a butterfly.
He can play a Lundqvist style where he plays deep in the net and is still, making saves because he's taking up most of the net anyways, even if he's playing deep. Now, again, I'm not a goalie coach, so I don't know exactly what the goalie coach of the Wings is telling him, but I mean, he's looked a lot different than what we've seen of him in the World Juniors, and certainly what we saw of him, previously. So I'm really looking forward to him. I think that there's a lot of potential, of course, in Sebastian Kosa, and I think there's a really good chance he ends up on the west side of the state in Grand Rapids when it's all said and done this season.
Yeah, I could agree. And like I said, I don't really like the ECHL as a development path, but I think he's working his way into a Grand Rapids role. And if you 1A, 1B him with Brattstrom and they carry a third goalie in Olkinora who plays once a week, once every other week, I think that works fine. And then again, if you've got injury, then he fills in. So I don't think you're really hurting yourself by carrying extra goalies there.
To that point, though, of a 1A, 1B with Brattstrom, I mean, who is your call up from Grand Rapids for goaltender then? If there's an injury from Husso or Net, is it Olkinora?
It's who's playing better.
Is it though? Because I mean, we've seen it the last couple of years with Detroit where they don't necessarily take the guy who's playing better. they take the guy that maybe isn't most likely to get picked up when you send him back down.
Sure. Okay. But here's the thing. Sebastian Coase is waiver exempt.
True. But
I actually think Brattstrom is waiver exempt too.
that one I'm not sure on. I know Kosa, yes. I mean, hold on. Actually, all three are waiver exempt. That is a shock per cap friendly. So disregard anything I just said right there because it won't matter.
It's
they're
whoever's
all
playing
apparently
better.
waiver exempt according to cap friendly, which throws me off a lot.
Why is UC Olcanora waiver exempt?
Is it because he's had no NHL time up until this point? I mean,
Must
he's 31 years old.
It must be that this is UC Olcanora's first NHL contract. He's at a 1 year at $750,000. He is waiver exempt. Sebastian Coase is waiver exempt, and Victor Brattstrom is waiver exempt. So I can tell you.
Let's play the escalator game.
So here's the thing: Sebastian Coase is the interesting case because Sebastian Coase, he's an entry level slide candidate. So you could play him 9 games before the first year of his deal would kick in. So that's one thing you have to take into account is if you've got a goalie who you think is going to be injured, then you probably are not bringing up Coase. But he is also exempt from the 50 standard player contract limit, which I think is a weird thing. I don't know why. Only him and Marco Kasper are exempt from the 50 standard player contract limit.
So fun fact, Olkinora signed with the Jets in 2014, or he signed in 2013, and he's made money on 2 seasons with them. So I think because of that, he still had it, because when this contract's done, he'll be a UFA with Detroit.
Yep.
But I don't understand how
he's waiver eligible.
Are
waiver exempt? I don't know either. It makes no sense to me.
It makes their job easier.
Sure. Makes it
absolutely.
a hell of a lot easier. Because then at that time, but again, are you taking Grand Rapids' best goaltender away from Grand Rapids? Because they're supposed to be a stacked team. I mean, looking on paper, they're going to be a very, very good team because another guy we didn't talk about, Emil Viro, Emil, I think they've been calling him Emil. Emil Viro has been doing... Not Emu. He's not Australian. But he's been doing very well also. Like, he's been really good out there. So you've got Viro in Grand Rapids. You've got Johansson in Grand Rapids. Jared McIsaac will be back there. You've got all these guys like Cross Hannes, who's been really good in preseason, is going to be back there. Pontus Andreasen, who will probably start in Grand Rapids, has been decent in preseason, will be back there. So they should have a really good team.
Oh, understatement.
Maybe you don't take their best goaltender. Maybe you let them have their best goaltender and you take their second best goaltender. And then Olcanora gets more time because if that's Brattstrom, it's Brattstrom. If it's Coase, it's Coase. So Coase is the guy, though, that has the attitude of, I'm going to play. You are not going to stop me. I don't give a shit that I'm 19 years old. Spencer Knight was 19 years old. And you're going to play me. So he
got that cocky swagger going on.
And before preseason or before the prospect tournament, you looked at it and you're like, wow, you're cocky, but you've got a lot to work on. But now you look on it after prospect tournament during preseason and you're like, this kid's damn good. So he might be able to back up his mouth going forward. We'll see. And maybe he gets that opportunity this season. Maybe he gets that opportunity next season because of injury. But I think he's working his way towards a Grand Rapids spot, which is really, really good.
Now, if he gets the Grand Rapids, or say he has a fantastic game against the Leafs, let's just say, if he gets to Grand Rapids, is he the starter? Is it a 1A, 1B, 1C situation?
I think it's a 1A, 1B with a backup, yeah.
And they can have 3 there, right? Because there's no roster limit.
They can have as many as they want.
Yeah, I think Detroit can even have 3.
Well, yeah, but then that eliminates a regular.
It does.
Yeah,
forward or skating position.
Yeah, but I think Grand Rapids can carry 3, no problem. I think Grand Rapids could carry 3. I think the Walleye is where you can have any number, and the Walleye signed 1 million goalies. I think they only signed 2.
You can have as many as you want from either, but I mean, for the Grand Rapids situation, if they had 3, it's not going to be an issue. Like, you could travel with 2 keep one home. Like they could do it in that situation, have all three available for home and what have you. So,
and as stuff always happens, I mean, there's always injuries. So, Bradstrom could be up or Okanora could be up. Who you don't really know.
It's going to be a hell of a competition if all three guys are in Grand Rapids, because Okanora, he played his way in with great international play and good foreign play leading up to this point.
Won a gold medal.
Yep, we saw what Bradstrom could do last year in Grand Rapids. We're now seeing some glimpses of what potentially Kosa could do against high-level competition. So,
well, the other thing is too, he's going to get the chance. Kosa, with being a first-round pick, he's going to get the chance. And he's so far to this point, he's done above and beyond what they expected. And if he goes out there and has a good game against the Leafs or whoever he plays against, he's going to have to be in Grand Rapids because he's too good for juniors at this point, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. And Ryan, I am going to save you tonight because we are out of time.
Oh, we're skipping projections. Thank you.
We will pick up roster projections next week once the preseason. I think by next week's episode, the preseason will probably be over and we'll be waiting for a home opener.
What's the schedule? I mean, I think Monday, Tuesday, maybe.
Tyler, when's the second game against the Leafs?
Saturday night. Sorry.
The second game is Saturday night? Yeah. Yep, because they're back to back. So we'll be done with preseason.
Yeah. Preseason's over.
Yep. So next episode.
Next week, we will start the episode with roster projections. And yeah, so Ryan, tonight we're going to start with you on final thoughts.
I mean, hell, we might not even have to worry about roster projections because I think according to Brandon, our buddy B Case over there, Grand Rapids preseason, I think, starts October 5th, which technically as of this is when we're recording tomorrow.
Yeah, we should expect some cuts tomorrow.
There could be things happening after this is posted. So it's going to make a lot of the shit that we say probably void, which is always fantastic. But I mean, final thoughts for me. It's been a very good preseason up to this point. The guys, mainly the young guys and new players for that matter, have performed, I think, up to and better than the expectation that I had personally. And that rings very well going into the season for that momentum that they could carry over. It's a bummer to this point that we haven't seen Kopp. Maybe we will start seeing him now that he's starting to take second line rushes. That's fantastic to me if he comes back sooner, or they just, I mean, even if they keep him out for precautionary reasons, I get it, but it worries me a little bit, kind of like Bertuzzi last year, not showing up until game one of the season to see how he is kind of coming into things. But the roster right now, being in the situation that we're in, it's a fun situation in comparison to the last several years. Even looking back to last year, we thought it was going to be a balanced, crazy roster. This dwarfs that. So I think the most excited I've been going into a wing season, and I think we've probably said that ad nauseum to this point, but it really is starting to hit home with some of the play that we've seen to this point, and it's just fantastic. And by this time next week, Tyler's going to be 2 sleeps away from making his way to my upstairs empty bedroom for sleeping out for 3 days. I feel like you're going to be here for 4 or 5 days but I'll hardly see you that entire time.
Ryan, we're going to go get a beer. Tyler's going to watch your kids.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, let's do that.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
On that note,
Uncle Tyler.
Yep, Uncle Tyler. Hey, it's easy. The kid goes to bed early. You're fine.
No, we have a pretty extensive trip planned. We got the Wings game on Friday, the Michigan football game on Saturday against Penn State.
Hey, use that for your final thoughts. I'm not done yet.
Tyler, it's RD Ryan 33.
There we go. Thanks. All right, now Tyler, go ahead.
We have a full slate of plans when we go to Michigan. We have people that we're going to see. We have the Wings.
Side note: Thursday night, no plans because I'm setting stuff up for us to go get dinner with Mario and a couple others.
Okay. No plans Thursday night. Yeah. So, but Friday we got obviously the opener, so we'll see everybody, and then Saturday I got the Michigan game, and then Sunday I'm going to the Michigan BU hockey game, so I'll get to see some Wings prospects on the BU team. Mastro Simone, I believe, is still there. So he's not. What happened to him?
No, Mastro Simone went to Arizona State.
Oh, that's right. We did talk
that's
about
right.
that.
So my final thoughts are: I can't wait to get to Michigan. I can't wait to see all you guys, and I really, it's something I look forward to every single year. So when I was told I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, that really hurt inside. So I'm really glad I'm going to be able to come. Looking forward to the season. Obviously, this team is something we've all looked forward to all summer long. This kind of makes me feel like a little kid again, where I'm kind of counting down the days until the Red Wings season. Where before, you're looking forward to opening night, but once opening night's over, there's not a whole lot to look forward to. In the last couple of years, last year was a little bit different, but before that, it was kind of just like bleak the rest of the season. But this season should be fun. There should be a lot of content for us to talk about, and that's what we're looking forward to. So enjoy these last couple preseason games and go from there.
Hey, how about when you and your dad come on out, you bring me and Greg a hat?
I'll see what I can do about that.
Okay.
I'll certainly see what I can do. I'll see what the Seals has up his sleeves because recently, since he got out of the hospital and since he's gotten better, he's gotten everything that he's wanted to get done. So that is a possibility. I will
slide that in the to-do list.
I'll slide that under the door there. But no, those are my final thoughts, and you can follow me on Twitter at SealDog91.
My final thoughts are congrats to the person that won our Elmer Soderblom signed puck. It will be out of out of Brandon's home soon. Brandon gets all the cool stuff for us to give away. So big shout out to Brandon. Thank you very much. We will be doing a jersey giveaway as soon as we have a set roster. So stay tuned for that. We did hit 7,000 followers on Twitter. Thank you to everyone that follows us on Twitter. Thank you to everyone that listens to us and interacts with us. It's a huge plus. We would not be doing what we are doing without you, because we would then just be three guys talking to each other on a camera, and no one likes that. So thank you for following us and interacting with us and keeping with us through what has been the pain of the Red Wings and now is becoming kind of the next greatness of the Red Wings. But
God, I hope so.
Oh, it's going to happen. Steve Eiserman's a goddamn genius. But you can follow me online at Grindline Pod. You can follow me online at Bringing the Wing. You can follow the Grindline Podcast online at Grindline Pod. We are also on Instagram and Twitter at the same handle. Please go sub to us on YouTube. Go search Grindline Podcast on YouTube. We're right there. Actually, now, I think if you search Detroit Red Wings on YouTube, we pop up pretty high. So there's that. I also want to give a shout out to Lego Rocks 99, who featured our tweet on one of his last videos. I want to get him on to talk Red Wings. He's a big Vancouver fan, but he's also a Red Wings fan. Shout out to the Hockey Podcast Network at HockeyPodNet for hosting us and spreading us around. Shout out to Vintage Detroit, which is the only place you should get your Detroit jerseys from and worked on. If you use a promo code GRINDLINE at Howie's Hockey Tape, you get 10% off your order. If you use that same promo code at Bring Hockey Back, you will get 12% off your order. And you can also check out our merch at redbubble.com by searching the Grindline. I think I might set up a Teespring, which is maybe a little easier, and I can actually host it on our website and is a lot less mess to go through. I can give you a direct URL. But yeah, you can also check out our website, grindlinepodcast.com. But that is going to do it for us tonight. So for Ryan and Tyler, I am Greg. You stay classy, Hockeytown.